Today's tinkering is assisted by Baltic Porter from Nonsuch Brewing in Winnipeg. They simply describe it as tasting of coffee, chocolate, and toasty malt. I like it. So today I'm hoping to make a minor yet usability kind of upgrade repair to this cheap stage light that I got several months ago. The issue is on the DMX connectors on the back of it here. The input connector, the male, I have no problem with, but the female connector, none of the cables that I have, either this cheap knockoff one from China or this actual Neutric, or Neutric, however you pronounce it, do not physically fit in there, which is not ideal. That means that to use this one, it has to be the last one in the chain, or you use a standalone or whatever, which kind of defeats the purpose of having the output connector. So I'm hoping that this connector that I have here, just from a cheap assortment that I bought off eBay or AliExpress or whatever, I'm hoping that that fits properly in there. And it does actually fit the connectors properly. It's not the pins of the problem, it's the shell. That one is just a little bit too tight. I suppose it could grind it out, but it's probably easier just to replace it with this one. So that is what I'm going to do. So it shouldn't take too much to get in there, if I remember. There's only these handful of screws across the front. And not all of these positions have a screw in it. That one is actually the infrared receiver for this light when you're using it on a remote control. But that's not what I want to use it for. So let's carry on and get in here. And with those out, it should be able to just pop that guy out of there, get him out of the way, and here is what we're looking for. Those two jacks are just on this little daughter board, and they're wired electrically in parallel, and also in parallel with this cable here, which goes off to the processor board to, process the signal and deal with it. So there's not that much going on there. That's just a little board, and I'm hoping that those pin spacings are going to match on there. I think they will. But first we have to undo 4 more screws on this side. This should be a really basic repair, as I said, just a little bit of soldering, but I don't know, it's what I'm doing, so I figured I'd bring you guys along. So there we have those connectors out, and I can get this out of the way as well. And we'll work on desoldering that. I assume I'll want to put it in place to resolder it just so that it's aligned properly. But yeah, what is the issue with this thing? Yeah, that is weird. It's just a little bit too small. Before I get too carried away, I'll just make sure that this little bezel ring, the outside of it, looks like it's about the same size, so it should fit through the hole in the back of the chassis there. And if it doesn't, I will just have to Dremel that out or something. I don't care that much, I just want it to work. So it is this side. Let's get the soldering iron in. Some people prefer to use braid. I usually prefer to use the vacuum pump if I can. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. But that's just what I've become used to over the decades, so that's where I'm going to start anyway. Although I don't know, well, yeah, that's getting it. It's just a little bit slow and taking its time, but that's fine too. No need to rush these things. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to see what's going on in there, but basically I am just melting the solder with my iron, getting the pump in there as close as I can, and sucking the solder out. It didn't come off as cleanly as I wanted it to, but it's working slowly. Just hit it a few more times here and see if I can knock that connector off. Otherwise I may have to resort to the braid or some other method. Despite my initial misgivings about wick, it does do the job. Just for years and years, all I had was a pump, so I got quite used to it, but this definitely does do the job. have to be a little bit patient with it. Add some flux to it, really helps. Let's clean that up a bit more. The only downside is if you don't pull things out in order, the wick can kind of get stuck in there, but I think I've got it. I think I can work with that. Now let's see if I can get this new connector to fit in there. Oh, I have to clean that hole out just a little bit more. So be it. There we go. That fits in there quite nicely. All right. So now, as I said, I will plug that back into the chassis here and screw it in place so that I can get my alignment, and then solder that on. So did I put in all 4 screws? I might as well. That way we know it's also in the right rotation and everything else. Now these screws, these self-tapping screws, just self-tap into the plastic of the connector, which is not really the high-techest way of doing it, but I guess it gets the job done. And then all that's left is to solder in the new connector. Using the usual technique, you touch your iron to both the pad and the lead, or in this case the pin. Heat them both up. And as I didn't do there, you gotta wait until it's actually heated up. Dab the solder in, let the work heat up the solder. Don't use the iron to directly melt the solder. You should hopefully get a nice flow around there. There we go. I'm even not embarrassed to show you those. That worked pretty well. Those two have a little bit of an excess. This one's pretty good. I can live with that. I'm not even going to bother cleaning up the flux. I'm just going to live with it. But the important part, my cables now actually fit into there, which was the whole point of this exercise. There we go. So let's reassemble it and I guess hook it up and give it a quick test. Where did these come off? That goes there. And that one, so that first connection is going to the LEDs, an RG and a B and a common. And this 3-pin is the infrared receiver, which works with that little remote control that came with it, but it's not, again, it's not all that critical for my application. I'm not really going to be using it like that. I'll just get the screws back in. We'll fire it up. I guess I should connect it with the other light and do this properly just to prove that the connectors both work. So I'll throw these screws back in and I'll come back when it's testing time. Alright, here we've got the light that we just dealt with and the even cheaper old light. Let's connect them up. So DMX in from the computer into this one. DMX in there, and then the other end of that cable into the connector that we just dealt with. So that should, if this light works, then that should prove it out, right? Sure. Let's just get these so you can see them. Now the computer, I've got Q-Light controller running. The first light I've got set as address 1, so the master, and we should give a red and a green and a blue, and that works. And the next light I've got set as address 8, so 8 is the master, 9 should be a red, 10 is a green, 11 is a blue, and 12 should be the white. Everybody works. Excellent. So that is exactly what I wanted, and if I had more lights, I could carry on from the output of this one and set the addresses appropriately and keep going, but I don't. Well, I guess I do. I've got some LED strip controllers and whatnot that I could tag onto here, but this proves what I needed to prove with this repair on this one, and the connector actually fits in there, which is the whole point of today's exercise, so I'm going to call that a win. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that was not a waste of your time. Questions and comments down below. I will talk to you later.